Organ Plus trademark, the dark side of convenience. In a world where convenience had become the ultimate currency, society began to sacrifice more than ever before. The rise of Organ Plus trademark was the pinnacle of this trade, the ultimate solution to a health crisis turned business opportunity, a world where people's most vital assets, those that kept them alive, could be leased, borrowed, or rented out like any other commodity. The problem was, no one saw the darkness creeping in. People were desperate. They needed organs, and Organ Plus trademark made it so easy to get them, so accessible. It was the ultimate convenience for a generation broken by sky-high medical bills and the constant crushing weight of a health system that left people behind. At first it seemed like a godsend. The commercials were polished, the language reassuring. A new chance at life on your terms. Survive longer without the burden of debt. It sounded almost too good to be true, but to most, it was their last hope. What other choice did they have? Go bankrupt trying to cover medical bills or pay a few hundred a month for a heart, kidney, or liver on loan? The process was simple. Sign up, choose what organ you needed, make your first payment, and boom, new organs were on their way. It was that easy. But what wasn't clear was the system's real power, the ability to control people's lives with a single payment. Or more accurately, the lack of payment. Once your organs were on lease, the price of your freedom was a monthly bill. It wasn't just a credit score anymore. It was your life that was at stake. If you fell behind, if you couldn't afford the fee, if something went wrong with your finances, you'd be left in the cold. The repo men would come, and they didn't just take back what you borrowed. They took it all. People began to fear them. The repo men were whispered about in hushed tones, their presence like a dark shadow that hung over every subscription. It was more than just the fear of losing organs, it was the knowledge that the repo men were the final arbiters of your fate. There was no second chance, no grace period. There was no sympathy for your circumstances. Once they came, you were left broken and empty, your life snatched away without warning. Ava, a woman in her 30s, had heard the rumors. She had seen the news reports of people who missed payments and vanished. She thought it was just sensationalism at first, the kind of fear-mongering designed to get people to pay on time. But when her own time came, when she faced the reality that a missed payment meant losing her kidney, the fear that gripped her was too real to ignore. She locked her doors, checked every window, and kept her phone close, praying her payments would clear. But she had always struggled to make ends meet, and there was no room for error in this cruel system. One evening, as the deadline loomed, Ava sat in her dimly lit apartment, feeling the weight of her body betray her. The clock ticked. Her phone buzzed with reminders of the late payment, but nothing could be done. She stared at the screen, the number in red, and knew what would come next. The repo men would be at her door any minute. There was no escaping it. Not this time. The doorbell rang. Ava's heart raced, but she didn't move. She couldn't. When the repo men finally came, they moved like shadows in the night. Their faces were obscured by sleek masks, their uniforms black and uniform, like something out of a nightmare. Ava barely had time to scream before they came for her. The process was swift, cold, and brutal. Her body was their property now, and they took it with no remorse. As she faded in and out of consciousness, her last thought was a painful one. She had trusted the convenience. She had trusted the promises of a system that was meant to save her, but in the end, it had only led her to the most devastating cost. The next morning, when the authorities arrived, all they found were the empty remnants of what had once been Ava. Her organs, her life, were gone, taken by the very system that promised to save her. No one could find the repo men, no one could prove what happened. But the whispers continued, as they always did. It was no longer just about surviving, it was about what you were willing to give up to keep living. And for most, that price was everything.